Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to our final recap that we're going to be doing of season 2 of Arcane. I am delving into Act 3. That is episodes 7, 8, and 9. And damn, did these final 3 episodes pack a punch. Honestly, this entire season has packed a punch. And I feel two very strong emotions. Very much so of like, oh my god, there's so much happening. But then also a little bit of an overwhelming of, oh my god, there is so much happening. So if anyone's feeling those same two feelings, we're in the same boat and we've been along for this ride together. But we're going to dive into every episode in this last act. But before we get into it, fellow reminder, I do put up new videos here every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe if you want more content. And I stream over on Twitch Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Come through for the late night vibe sometime. I would love to have you. But without further ado, let's get into the analysis of these last 3 episodes. Starting off with episode 7. Pretend like it's the first time, and this episode starts off with Echo finally being back. We didn't get any of Echo in Act 2. We didn't have him in any of episodes 4, 5, and 6. So we didn't really know what was going on with him or where his storyline was taking him. But we see him at the start of this, and it is emotional right off the bat because it seems that he has like jumped into a different timeline or reality, and now he's back with Powder, not with Jinx, but Powder, because she, in whatever timeline he is in, hasn't become Jinx or isn't going to become Jinx because of the events that occurred there. And somehow they get to this multiverse, and Vi in this particular universe is dead, so Powder is a much different person than she is in the main storyline because she's been fueled by different motivations, and she hasn't had Vi there protecting her and being the big sister all the time, so she's kind of had to toughen up a bit more herself, but not in the like vengeful way that she kind of gets to be a little bit. So we get a little bit difference of that. Jace is also in this timeline, and he's like short-haired again, and he is trying to figure out how the heck to get out, and he gets like trapped here, and I mean literally trapped, like down in this ravine. He is trapped and trying to figure out how the heck to get out of there. And at the same time, Heimer gets trapped in this reality with Echo because they had touched like the hex tech blob thing, whatever we saw in the previous, the first 3 episodes when they touched that. Somehow Heimer has also gone back in time with Echo, so they're both trying to figure out, is there any hex tech in this universe somehow reverse time and back to the right timeline of where they're trying to be? And he recruits Powder to like help him, and the whole time, honestly, they are like so stinking cute together, and I like seeing the dynamic of Powder and Echo together because we don't really get that much of a softer side of Jinx always. We get a little bit of a softer side with her with Vander and her with Silco, but not necessarily with someone who's a love interest per se. It's different from like a father figure love. So we get more of like a love interest between her and Echo here. It all comes together towards the end of this episode, and they actually kiss, and it's so cute. But the thing is, he's kissing the Powder in this timeline. He's not actually kissing Jinx in the main timeline. So he's got the emotions there, but it's a different person, and she thinks he's a different Echo. Like, he looks all done up like he's from, topside, and it's such a mood. It looks so cool. But ultimately, Heimer and Echo are able to fix things to get back to their timeline. But honestly, I really, really liked this episode all around because it was just so interesting, them trying to figure out how to get out of there, how to get a better understanding of some of these characters and to see them in a different light. And you actually there's a moment where we see, because Vander's alive in this timeline, so we see Vander, we see Silco, he's alive. It was just really cool all around, and honestly probably one of my favorite episodes from this season, if not one of my, like, the top. But we move on to episode 8, which is called Killing is a Cycle, and this one was another whirlwind of just stuff going on. And you see that Mel finally confronts the like weird ghosty thing in the vine, and she's starting to realize how strong she is, because Mel has these like incredibly strong powers that I don't think even she has a grasp on exactly how much she can do with them until she realizes she can kind of fight back against this like ghosty being that we've been getting hints of the whole season. And then we also find out Victor is alive. So the last we see of Victor is him getting shot by Jace when Jace confronts him at the end of the last act, and we don't know if he's dead. I mean, he shot him through his chest. So, like, if he's alive, it's not really Victor. But I'm still, at this point, waiting for the Victor that we know from the games that's a mechanical, like, Victor. So I just keep thinking, like, he's gonna keep losing more and more of his humanity, which is gonna bring him to this point. And we see more of that in this episode with even how he comes back. Even just demeanor towards things is so much different than even, you know, a couple episodes ago, let alone how he was in season 1. Once again, we see Victor and Jace fight, but Victor is, like, embodied in this, like, robot thing, so it's not really Victor per se as a physical being, but more spiritual within this robot thing that he's controlling. Him and that thing and Jace fight, and it kind of shows you, like, if Jace is able to put his mind into every being, like, he will become unstoppable, and there will be no way to take him out, because he will be embodying every living creature, all these robots, all of these things. Like, it's kind of nutty to think about when you think about it on a larger scale. Jinx is in jail. She gets arrested after everything that's happened or whatever, and we get back to that timeline and get to see her with, like, her hair down. First, we get so many different Jinx looks in this last act, because we get the powder from the episode before, which is a different hairstyle. We get Jinx in this one with her hair out of the braids, which we've never seen before. And then in episode 9, we get short hair Jinx, which is another one we've never seen before. So Jinx and Vi are both like, you know, let's change it up a bunch this season with their hairstyles. And I love every single one of them. It's already giving me cosplay ideas. And I also noticed a little tidbit that I think at one point I saw a woman holding a poro. I'll see if I can find it, but it was such a glimpse. I don't know if I'll actually get a picture of it, but it was when they were, like, loading onto the ship and Mbessa was, like, getting her troops ready, and you just see a woman quickly. I don't know if that was what that was, but I was like, that looks like a poro. I love it. Vi and Kate finally get to the jail cell to try to get Jinx out, and they all kind of finally come together, and Vi and Kate are in the jail cell. It gets very hot and steamy in the jail cell between Vi and Kate. Like, I literally was like, oh my God, Arcane, they're gonna do it right in the jail cell. So it pretty much implies that that's what happens, and I wasn't mad about it. I was just more surprised, like, oh my God, they've went, like, more by what they showed. Not that they just implied it, but I was like, oh, okay. Some of those angles were angling. And then ultimately, this ends with, we see that Vander in the Warwick body, he wakes up, and he's clearly not Vander anymore. Victor has full control over him. He is, like, part machine, mechanical, whatever, and any ounce of humanity that he did have left in him is unfortunately clearly gone. So they kind of have to figure out, you know, what is the next step from there. If they can't save him, what do they got to do? And that brings us into the finale, aka episode 9, which is called The Dirt Under Your Nails. And this episode, the majority of this episode is a giant fight against all of the Noxus soldiers that Mbessa is leading into this charge against Jinx and Vi and Caitlyn and Echo. They all kind of join up to fight together. We see Echo pleading with Jinx that Jinx needs to not give up because she wants to give up. She doesn't want to keep going. And Echo convinces her, like, we need you. We need to all do this together. And they really, really do, because Mbessa has all of Victor's, like, robot dudes behind her and the Noxus people. So there's, like, literally unstoppable forces, and you're trying to figure out how are they going to even physically take all of them down, because they're aggressively outnumbered. And left and right, it seems like people are betraying them, because we get Maddie betraying Kate. She literally goes to shoot Kate in the back of the head. And luckily, Mel throws this, like, force field up, so it bounces off and then takes Maddie out, which was great, because I didn't care about her anyway, so I was glad she took herself out. And then you have Kate finally fighting Mbessa, and Mel gets involved, and Kate gets her eye stabbed out, and I'm like, what is literally happening? And you see that Mel ends up taking her mom down. She brings her into the red vine shadowy void place. I don't exactly know, but she ends up taking her down, and it man, just so much happens. So much happens, but the gist of this episode is everyone fighting and certain storylines kind of coming to a close. Jinx is an absolute badass in this fight. Echo's a badass in this fight. Kate is, Vi is. Victor finally becomes the metal Victor that we know from the game. Looks very much so like that. Gets his little laser arm thingy that shoots out. So I was super excited that it finally became the Victor that I know from the games, that I've been waiting for this whole time. Because I'm like, how does he transform into this? I want to know. And I thought it was going to come much sooner than the end of the finale, essentially. But it all comes together with him and Jace once again fighting / kind of brotherly talking it out. And Jace is able to get through to him, and he takes the rune that he has on his wrist that he got from him supposedly forever ago. And he kind of is able to tap into the little tiny bit of humanity that Victor still has within him. And he's able to kind of break past that outer shell to realize Victor, what are you doing? You are destroying everything because of Hextech. Hextech needs to be stopped. This is not a good thing. And Victor is able to shut it all down. All of the people that he tried to control in all of this, they all get their sanity back and stuff. But then we still see that Vander still psycho mode. His humanity is gone, even if Victor is not necessarily fully controlling his brain. And he's fighting Vi, and we're trying to see that Vi is trying to get away. Jinx is yelling for her, and ultimately Jinx ends up sacrificing herself to save Vi and to take out Vander, and Jinx dies saving Vi, which I hated that. I felt like this was going to be, I feel like Vi or Jinx was going to die. And I felt it was going to be that one of them would die sacrificing themselves for the other to save them, protect them. I had this feeling from the very beginning that it was going to come down to something like that. And it did, and I hated it. Even though I anticipated it literally the whole season. But honestly, with how much they have with the Hextech and the other stuff, the deaths aren't always totally permanent. How many times did Victor die? How many times did he get shot through the chest or attacked or whatever and he came back? So obviously Arcane is done, but they're going to do spin-offs. I don't know if they'll implement these other characters into the other spin-offs. I would hope so. And then at the very end, we get one last teaser with Singed. And this girl, who's a robot girl, who looks just like Oriana. Or at least I thought she looked like Oriana. And she was sitting in front of a music box that had a ballerina on it spinning. Which makes sense for Oriana and her character. So I don't know if that's supposed to be trying to tease whatever they're going to do next. I was reading up that they have already shows in the works. More information about Noxus, Demacia, and Ionia. Which I figured they were going to do Noxus because there's already so much Noxus influence in this show. Especially in this season with all of Mbessa and her army and all of that. I personally love Demacia. My favorite champion is Lux, which is from Demacia. So I could really see there being a really cool show with the characters from there. Ionia has also a lot of really good characters, and they interact a lot with the Demacian. So I think that could be really, really cool. I don't know if necessarily they will be a totally separate show, if they're putting all of these together. I don't know, but I'm excited to see whatever else comes from this. There are so many different factions I would love to delve into more. One of my personal favorites is the Freyord. And I know I've played the Song of Nunu game, which went into that a little bit, but I'd love to see it in show form because there's so many Freyord characters that I love. But then I was also talking about, you could put in, the Shadow Idol, Yordles, Shurima, or Bilgewater. There's so many factions in League that they could delve into. And I am honestly excited for whatever they do next. Arcane was great. I don't want to say that it's the best show ever. I will be honest in this because I've seen so many people completely praising this show it's the greatest thing to ever exist ever. It was a great show. I am a huge League of Legends fan, and even as a League of Legends fan, I liked it. I don't think it was the best show ever, to be honest. A lot of moments of it I found kind of confusing, and I was a little confused on what was going on or what characters were doing or how they were interacting, especially all of like the Red Vine stuff with Mel for a bit was kind of confusing. Even some of the hex tech, I was like not too sure on exactly what was happening. So I liked it. I think it's a great show. Do I think it is the best show? No. I do think it has potential to be even better, though, as they expand into more factions. And for that, I'm super excited for. But I think I'm going to wrap it there. I do want to know what you guys think. What were your thoughts on the last act of Arcane? And if you could have another season in any of the other factions and going into them, which would you pick? I want to know. Let's talk about it more. But that is going to be it for my wrap up of this season. If you did like this, please give it a big thumbs up. And if there are any other shows coming out that you want me to do kind of like a analysis breakdown, kind of like I did for this show, let me know. Because I would definitely be down to do more if it's something that you guys seem interested in. And I absolutely love doing these. So thank you guys so much for watching. And hopefully I see you in the next video. So until then, bye.